This is a short story of recycling landscapes and recycling a vision of production. From pure domestic livestock grazing to wildlife habitat and the idea that tourism is also a form of production. And recycling of ranch infrastructure to other ranches or donations to local residents and employees. What we had here at the now ex-Estancia San Nicolás was another rundown ranch, much of which had seen too many cows and too many hooves. The estancia stretched out for thousands of hectares, some 16,000 in total, joining other conservation lands. The gauchos and their foremen saddled up here at San Nicolás and rode off to greener pastures. The land itself was headed for its own greener pastures and different species of grazers. These landscapes needed a well-earned rest from all those cows. Back at the ranch central headquarters, it did not take long to see the work that lay ahead. There was even scrap metal to send to China. We had to recycle these old ranch buildings into a workable park guard station and campground. So the architects, Vic Solari and Eloisa Malvido, set about to measure and to draw. Old structures came down, and new ones went up. So a furious flurry of work began, and the plaster and paint began to fly. The furniture was designed and built and sent way out to this isolated place. And then the painters put the final touches on the buildings. And as spring sprang on these beautiful landscapes and the lapachos were in bloom, so did the fruits of our own labors begin to bloom as well. As the buildings took form and color like the lapachos themselves, they were looking pretty good, but very, very good if we remember how some of them were. And the buildings began to be occupied and put to use. Spring was underway. The birds were coming in from their winter vacations further north. And as mentioned, our beloved lapachos were just coming into their own full glory. It was time to celebrate all this hard work and have a party. So in they all came. And a big party it was going to be. It seemed as if the whole town of San Miguel was here or on the way. Politicians, wildlife agency heads, priests and all, even in ties and coats. Can you imagine right here in our far-off, isolated backwater of Estancia San Nicolás? And there even were famous paparazzi photographers slinking around. And it turned out that most of San Miguel was there. The young girls from town in jeans, and their admirers not far behind, although they looked a bit discouraged for their prospects at the moment. But these were good-looking kids. Now, San Miguel is not just another small rural Corrientes town. No, San Miguel is something special, and something special always has someone special behind it. This is San Miguel's flamboyant mayor, Jose Maria de Jesus, but we all affectionately know him simply as Cholo. This is a mayor who is doing some amazing and special things to build his town into a livable and dignified community. He must be doing something special to get all these different people out here to San Nicolás, the very end of the road. After all, this was an international event. Here's the Chilean ambassador to France, presumably here by Cholo's call to the Chilean president, or even Sarkozy, and longtime Patagonia estancieros from faraway Santa Cruz, and this dancing duo, all the way from Austria and the Ukraine. Then Cholo had called in the suave, eaten, educated, smooth character of Victor Payne, known also as Gaucho Alambre, internationally respected forester Rodolfo Goth and his wife. There were famous faces from local and international conservation circles. The church, of course, was well represented and made the blessings with great grace and noble words. Then the keys to the kingdom were duly given to the head of parks for the new ranger station. A semi-coherent speech, thankfully short, was delivered by the donor, while the press snapped photos. But everyone listened dutifully, or appeared to, while Sophia looked on with approval and concern, and Paula happy that her work was mostly done. The mistress of ceremonies looked terrific, and rumors were flying that she was a top model from New York that Cholo had flown in. Meanwhile, as the formalities came to a close, The mouth-watering odors of the barbecue wafted over the crowd. It was time to eat and see what else Cholo had in store. As the band warmed up with a few songs, some of the guests began to shake a leg or two, some showing a bit of their stuff, which was evidently just what they had in mind. Now Cholo was saving the best of this day for the last. And the park guards knew what was coming. You see, Cholo understands that pride in the community comes not just from beautifying the streets. You have to make your people beautiful and happy, and with genuine smiles. And what better way than through music, dance, and the pleasure of holding another while you move to familiar and traditional music. And so the dancing began, right there on the edge of the great marshes of Iberá. What Cholo had surprised us with was nothing short of his ballet company of San Miguel. Can you imagine that? And these young San Miguel dancers put on a show worthy of the Cologne Opera House in Buenos Aires. Then came the highlight of the entire affair, as the dancers changed to country folk dances. And then the dancing, costumes, music, and beautiful youthful faces all blended together, dancing with grace, precision, and well-rehearsed. The air was full with a spirit and vibration that all the wild creatures out in the grasslands and in the marshes heard and took note, listening and peering from perches, and in the grasslands and in the marshes, the wildlife was fascinated and relieved to see humans behaving so well. Even the jacares put on festive earrings to join the party. And hopefully our great missing king of the ecosystem is listening in some far-off place, arousing desires to return to his former home. So Cholo left us with a day to forever remember, and a vision of another economic possibility when tourists flock to his community to see a healthy and vibrant ecosystem with all the creatures that belong there. And to know that no matter how small your village may be, how far into the hinterland it may be, that all the so-called professionals who dance, sing, entertain, or make music, there is nothing better than homegrown, local talented people doing what they love with those they love. Just look at this radiant face. That is the real thing. Thanks to all of San Miguel, and of course the beloved Cholo, for working towards quality living in a small and rural community.